Hi, I'm Grace. I'm a homemaker, wife, and mother who loves the Lord more than anything. Our home is a small 50s fixer-upper on a little half acre. We don't have all that much, but we are rich in other ways. If this year you want to learn how to run a home, gain gardening tips, learn from scratch cooking, learning how to preserve your harvest, and generally be encouraged in the work of the home, I would love for us to be friends. Hello and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I had my baby and he's perfect, and the birth just went as much as I have ever prayed it could. It went so well. Painful, but well. No complications, everything went fine. If you want my in-depth birth story, I did post about it on my Instagram, so you can check that out. I'm so thankful for my incredible birth team. I cannot recommend my birth team enough. If you're local to me, Red House Birth Care, phenomenal. Like, Amy's amazing, Alex is amazing. I had Jen as my doula. She is an absolute angel. So if you're local, check them out. If you're planning a home birth, I can't say enough good things about them. I'm sitting down today to answer some of your questions. I polled people. Did I poll? Now this is cross-platform. I've gotten multiple questions from different platforms, so I'm just here to talk about whatever people asked. Let's get started. First question is, what are tangible ways to celebrate Advent with a toddler? We are sort of newer to Advent. Like, we did not grow up with that. Like, we grew up with the Advent season because we both grew up in Christian households. However, it wasn't like liturgical Advent like a lot of like Catholics and Orthodox and whatnot, Anglican are used to. I grew up very non-denominational, so it's new for us. We are still trying to figure out what works for us and what doesn't work for us. We really have enjoyed St. Nicholas Day and St. Lucia Day. We do incorporate those every December ever since my daughter was like born. And we also on Sundays have our own Advent wreath, and my husband does some family worship, goes over like scripture, we sing a little bit. It's nothing too long because our toddler will not sit long enough for that. As I was saying, that type of stuff, we don't do Santa. It's hotly debated right now, or being hotly debated on social media, whether you do Santa or not. We personally don't. I don't care if you do. I grew up with Santa. However, for our family, we just decided against it. I think another tangible way that I would like to be better about next year especially is just allowing them to join in on the fun of Christmas season. So letting them enjoy baking with you. Baking with a toddler is kind of a patience tester for mom, but they love it, and it's something that they can do. Is even if it's as simple as just dumping something in a bowl, they just love it. You can also incorporate crafts. I'm not a super crafty person. It depends on the mood I'm in, because I just don't like having to clean up everything, but I want to give them the joy and the magic of Christmas, so crafts are another good way. Okay, so this question is, how do you deal with postpartum weight loss? Some circles say if you eat right, exercise, it'll all work out, but I'm someone who, when breastfeeding, it makes it way harder. So don't come at me with pitchforks or anything, but I personally am somebody who, when I give birth, most of my weight that I've gained during pregnancy goes with it. I'm normally close or at my pre-pregnancy weight. For example, this time around, I have 5 pounds difference with my pre-pregnancy weight and my postpartum weight, which is to me manageable. That being said, when I'm nursing, I tend to gain it back. I also want to consider the idea that postpartum is not a time to be prioritizing losing weight. Postpartum is a time in a woman's life that is the most nutritionally demanding period that I think you could ever go through. That's why, like, if you're nursing especially, or if you're pumping or whatever, your appetite level is like ravenous. Like, I could eat so much food, and that's because my body needs the extra calories to produce enough supply and produce the nutrients and the minerals and everything that your body needs, because baby will take it whether or not you're properly fed or not, which then just depletes you in the end and leaves you feeling crappy. Plus, you're also not sleeping. Your body is in a higher state of stress because, especially if you're breastfeeding, that's just your biology and how you're designed. So I don't think I think the culture of snapping back that we see in America is really detrimental to moms, because it just paints this picture that you can just have a baby and you can get back to normal like that. But like, our hormones need time to adjust. Our bodies need time to adjust. So I think the postpartum period should not be so much focused on weight loss, but more so nourishment and balancing your hormones and recovering well that way. Make sure you're resting, just taking care of your body. And I add, I think I know what circles these are talking about, and I just recommend just not listening to them. They will make you so miserable. Do I have any New Year's resolutions? I do have New Year's intentions, and I've stopped saying the resolutions because I rather just create like a goal setting list every year that I go through and I try to accomplish. My personal problem is I'm very goal oriented and accomplishment driven. So if I can check off boxes, I will. and sometimes that's to my detriment. And so I've learned to set intentions of what I would like to do this year, because then it doesn't set that pressure up as if I don't accomplish it, then I'm a failure. Firstborn, eldest daughter things. As for New Year's intentions, I have not sat down and done that yet this year, just because I've been postpartum and in that fog. And honestly, I don't really think my goals for his first year of life are going to be sky high, just because it just is so demanding to take care of an infant for the first year. How do you manage your budget with a pay cut with the baby? For us, we actually, I don't think we're really taking a pay cut. The only pay cut I can think of is like time off that my husband's had to take time off for, to either help me with things, take the kids to appointments, etc. Then like we were buying diapers, but we're currently potty training my toddler. So whatever money we were spending on buying diapers for her, we're now buying disposable diapers for him. And we also cloth diapers, so that saves money. And a lot of things like that I needed for baby, I've already bought or I've already had. So it's not really like I'm budgeting every month extra for a child. The only thing that I think we're still budgeting for is my midwife fees. Do your kids go to a pediatrician? No, they don't. I'm very selective of where I will take my kids for medical care. Not saying that I don't think they should have medical care. They absolutely do, and they absolutely should. I have to very much align with whatever practice I'm taking them to, because I am tired of going to doctors and being lectured about not doing certain things that they want you to do. However, my kids do see a nurse practitioner. We love her. She's very holistically minded, and that's who we see. How do you keep your sanity as a stay-at-home mom? I don't. There's days where I am like, feel like I'm rocking motherhood, and I'm like, I answered that so calmly. I handled that situation so well. And then there's other days where I do raise my voice at my kids. The biggest thing for me is learning how to regulate myself. Something that I've worked a lot on this year is learning how to regulate myself as a mother to be able to handle all the things that come with motherhood. Also this year focused on taking priority of my self-care, of like saying to my husband, hey, I need 20 minutes of like a bath, or I just need a shower unbothered, or I need to go out of the house to grab myself a coffee and just sit in the car in silence for a little bit. I've also prioritized my hobbies that I like, because I think for so long I had a martyrdom mentality about motherhood that I just kind of drove myself into the ground and didn't do anything for me. And that was very detrimental to my mental health and how I felt about myself. My hobbies don't take me out of the home. So a lot of times I'll go down to my sewing room and do some sewing, or I'll just sit in bed and just do embroidery. I like a lot of hands-on crafty things. Do you homeschool your kids? And if so, do you use curriculum? I go back and forth on this, because I really do believe that kids should prioritize playing and being kids over formal education. I am very much for the educational philosophy of Waldorf, and just like making childhood magical and not doing really any formal education till they're like 6, 7, 8. Not pushing things like reading and writing. I think we push those way too young. A lot of things that my daughter has been learned through play. That said, we have bought the Wondergarten curriculum and we love it. It's great for preschool age kids. You can do it younger. I did it with my daughter when she was about 2. And it's just fun little activities that are based around the seasons, and just based around life in general. And it has little stories. So it's not very long. It's not a formal education. It's more Waldorf-esque, hands-on, crafty, painting, baking, life skills things. I'm not rigid with it. We do it when we do it. We pick and choose what we want to do. When my kids get older, we do plan to homeschool. I'm not fond of public school, and I'm not really fond of private schools at this point either. So yes, we do plan to homeschool when that time comes. But we're not full homeschooling people yet. What are some side hustles you are doing to earn money? Well, social media. I think people tend to think like when you're doing social media, you're making a bunch of money. And for me, that's just not true. I probably would if I had more time to prioritize it and more help with the kids to prioritize it, but I just don't. So I just do it here and there when I can. Only recently has that been a little more consistent, but social media is so volatile. I don't trust it enough to call it like a second income. It's just whenever I make money, we usually use it towards bills, or it becomes fun money for something at that point. When I was first married, I did have like an in-home daycare situation. Kids inside of our home from when we were first married to being pregnant, and then I took a little break and went back to it after I had my first, and then stopped shortly this time last year. I loved the kids that I had, but honestly, don't know if I would recommend that just because it was so much work for so little pay. Like, people don't want to pay their childcare providers a lot, which I get it, but it was a lot of work. What any animals you'd want to raise on the homestead for meat? So I call our property a homestead. It's not probably the homesteading you're thinking of with chickens and like all that. It's more so just the homesteading mindset. I think homesteading can be whatever you make it. So like, I have a garden and we like gardening and I like canning and I like preserving. That's my version of homesteading. I would love chickens. I have been begging my husband for chickens. However, we live in a high predator area. Like, I have seen coons and skunks and foxes, owls, and lots of hawks. I don't think chickens would be good right now because if I had chickens, I would want a rooster for flock protection. However, we have very close neighbors on either side of us, and I don't want to do that to them. I feel like that would be very inconsiderate to them because they didn't choose to have a rooster, and so hear a rooster all the time might not be their favorite. So maybe someday I'll have chickens. I would love chickens, both meat and eggs. I have a dream of raising cows and having dairy cows, but that's also a lot of work and I can't really get my husband on board. Dairy animals just make things so much more tied to the house kind of thing. I'd love to raise cattle, like a beef cow or something, or even pigs. I would love to raise pigs, but pigs are also hard to keep because they're kind of escape artists. So you have to have really good fencing to have pigs, but they're very smart. This question is, how do you handle life with a newborn and another kid to care for? I have intense mom guilt of not being able to do as many things as I did before with my own kids because I'm so preoccupied with my newborn. Tell me about it, because when the first few weeks of his life, I was just like in tears all the time, being like, I just feel so bad for my eldest daughter because I feel like I can't care for her like I used to. And it's true, you can't. So I don't really have good advice for that because that's what I'm living through right now. I want to ask you, how did you start making videos and how much time does it take you to film and post each video? I started content creation shortly after we were married because I fell into the whole like trad wife ideology stuff. So I thought I was like hot crap talking about things. We've grown and matured since then. 2021 is when I started making content primarily on TikTok. Until like 2022, 2023, I went to Instagram. And now I'm also on Facebook and I'm also on here now. So we've just kind of expanded. Content has changed and grown and we've changed and grown. So I film most of what I would already be doing because that's just what is most convenient for me. There is times where I will have to like take time out of my day to make sure I have enough time to film like a tutorial or something, or even like this video. My short form content and some of my long form content, I'm already filming what I would be doing anyway. So it's not like I'm going out of my way to film extra things, if that makes sense. And it keeps me accountable because if I don't want to do housework, I still need to film something. So I might as well just do the housework that I need to do. And it actually helps keep me on track, strangely. The editing does take a little time. I can edit a video within like 10-15 minutes depending. If it's a YouTube video, it usually takes me much longer, which is why I'm not as consistent on here. It takes like an hour to 2 hours, and I think that's also because I'm not super experienced with YouTube and all the things that go into it, so it's a more of a learning curve right now. Next question is, how do you keep yourself completely content being a housewife? Sometimes I feel like I'm just not doing anything impactful with my life. That's a hard one. I think it really depends on your personality. For me, I am an introvert. I am a homebody. So everything comes very naturally for me, but I know for some women it might not. Sometimes I do get like the creeping feeling. I'm like, I should be doing something like career oriented, or I should be doing something with my degree, for example. But for me, in the season of life that I'm in right now, my children are so little that I don't feel comfortable leaving the home to go do and pursue whatever I would like to do or have interest in kind of thing. I'd rather be here to raise them. And I really can't think of anything more impactful than raising the next generation with the values that both my husband and I have, and creating well-rounded, emotionally stable adults to send out into the world eventually. Sourdough, ? How to even start? I can't make white bread, it's so heavy. Sourdough is such a hot topic, because I feel like everyone has a tutorial on their sourdough. So I'm hit or miss with sourdough. I kind of don't play by the rules. I just do what I want with it. I'm not like somebody who's like, you have to have the perfect ratio or hydration ratios and like stuff like that. So my daughter and I are the only two people who will eat it. My husband is not a huge fan of sourdough. To start, just go to YouTube. There's so many videos out there. How to start a starter, how to keep a starter alive, how to use a starter, how to feed it, all the things that come with sourdough. Are you judged harshly by family and friends for choosing to be a stay-at-home wife? I'm not sure how to answer this. It was not favorable, let's say that. Backstory, I was in college at the time when I met my husband. I wanted to drop out of college in my sophomore year because I just was not really in love with my major anymore. Like it's interesting and I do enjoy it. Like looking back, like I've learned so many things that have been beneficial in motherhood and in nursing and breastfeeding and like just child rearing in general and child development. However, I didn't want a career in it. I went for speech pathology and audiology. To be able to be a speech path, you have to go for your master's, and then you also have to get clinical education, a clinical year in, which is like a certain amount of hours of clinical work. And then you have to sit for a test. Looking at that, I met my husband, we were engaged. I was like, I want to start a family. I want to start a family young. I don't want to wait all these years to advance my career. I don't want to sit for 2 more years of graduate school. Work is 3 hours away from where I'm going to college. Like I don't want to have a long distance marriage, but I don't want to put off marriage. So these were all the questions I was asking myself. I also knew that I eventually wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Anyway, so I wanted to drop out. And I was basically told if I did that, I would be on my own. Hindsight though, I was working 2 jobs in college. I paid for my own apartment. I paid for my own groceries. The only things I didn't pay for was like my car insurance, but still. I should have dropped out when I wanted to. It would have saved me a ton of debt because now we're in a boatload of debt and it's a very heavy burden. I remember being told things like, yo, you're too smart to just be a stay-at-home mom, to be a stay-at-home wife, and that stuff. Like, I don't think people understood like the impact of saying that to me then, but it's stuck with me ever since. I did finish getting my degree, but I only got my bachelor's and decided I'm done. And people were not happy with that, but also it's my life. I can choose what I do with my life. And if you're not paying for my loans, then sorry, I'm gonna do what I want. The question is, what church do you attend? We attend a PCA church, which is Presbyterian Church of America. I believe that's the acronym for it. We're members of a very great local congregation that we adore and have become like family to us. We are Reformed, so we hold to like the Westminster Confession of Faith. That is our confession that we believe and abide by. Not to be confused though with the PCUSA, because they're very woke and very liberal, and the PCA branched, like, is the conservative branch of that broke off because things were going too theologically liberal. So very conservative, Reformed, Westminster Confession of Faith. Struggling to keep up with housework. I'm always behind. Things are always a mess and cluttered. I have 3 kids, 3 and under. Help. Suggestions. I feel like I'm drowning. I don't know if I have the best advice because my house is also cluttered, and I mean, like, look at this laundry. I can't keep up. And I also think we have an unrealistic expectation that we should be keeping up. I'm not saying your house should be a mess and like disgusting, because no, it should not be. Kids deserve a clean, peaceful home to grow up in. However, I think the mentality that we have to have a perfectly clean home ready for whenever guests might unexpectedly stop by is dumb, especially if you have little kids, because I could clean up the living room in like 10 minutes and in 2 minutes it's a mess again. And that's just the nature of having littles. For me, having different like anchor points during the day has been helpful. So like in the morning, I do a quick tidy of the kitchen, a quick tidy of the house. And when between the morning and lunchtime, when it gets screwed up again, we reset it around lunchtime and around noon. From noon on, it gets messed up again. So right before my husband gets home, I like to do a reset when I'm not postpartum. I haven't been doing that in this season just because it's been too chaotic. For me, a system of management is putting the house to bed every night, doing a load of laundry, and doing the dishes every day. Those are my like 3 things that I have to do every day. Oh, and vacuuming. I have to vacuum multiple times a day or there's just crumbs everywhere, and I like have sensory issues where I hate feeling like crumbs on my feet. Having those anchor points in your own personal day, not necessarily my anchor points, make it your own. Having those 3 non-negotiables, they can be whatever works. If you're like a do laundry once a week type of thing, do that. I, however, cannot do that. I get too overwhelmed, and so we do laundry every day here. So that is all that I have for today. Thank you for watching this long, if you've made it this long. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day and a rest of your week, my friends, and I will see you next time. Bye.